On a crisp May evening in New York City, with the temperature hovering around 60 degrees, the iconic Plaza Hotel glowed like a beacon of opulence. Its grand ballroom, bathed in the shimmer of 15-foot crystal chandeliers, buzzed with the chatter of Hollywood stars, tech moguls, and high society elites. The air carried the crisp tang of Napa Valley sparkling wine, poured into 8-ounce flutes by waiters in pristine black tuxedos. Tables draped in ivory linens showcased silent auction items, Hamptons vacation packages, courtside Knicks tickets, and rare Napa Valley wine cases valued at $5,000 each. A jazz ensemble filled the room with Duke Ellington's sultry melodies, their notes weaving through the clink of crystal and the rustle of silk gowns. This was no ordinary night. It was the annual charity gala for underprivileged youth, a cause that drew the city's most influential figures to the plaza's 100-foot red carpet, where cameras flashed like a summer thunderstorm. Amid the parade of luxury sedans and stretch limousines, Maya Carter arrived in a modest hybrid SUV, its understated presence a stark contrast to the gleaming Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. She stepped onto the red carpet, her emerald green dress catching the light with a quiet elegance. The gown, simple yet tailored, hugged her frame without the ostentation of the 5-carat diamond necklaces and glittering sequined dresses around her. Her dark hair was swept into a loose chignon, and her makeup minimal, with a touch of rose lipstick accentuated her natural warmth. Photographers snapped a few shots, but their lenses quickly swiveled to the next arrival, a tech billionaire in a $10,000 tuxedo. Maya didn't mind. She hadn't come to demand attention. She was here for the kids, for the charity that mirrored the Chicago Community Center, that had given her a stage when she was just a girl from a struggling neighborhood. Maya's childhood in Chicago's South Side wasn't glamorous. Raised in a cramped apartment where the heat often failed, she'd found refuge at a local community center, its 10,000-square-foot space a haven of after-school programs. There, a drama teacher had spotted her talent, coaxing her into a school play that sparked her love for acting. That center, funded by donations like those raised tonight, had been her lifeline, turning a shy 12-year-old into the celebrated actress she was today. Now, at 40, Maya Carter was a household name, known for Oscar-nominated roles and a quiet philanthropy that shunned the spotlight. Her $1 million donation to last year's gala had helped 500 kids access tutoring and arts programs, but she never advertised it. Tonight, she carried that same purpose, her heart set on ensuring no child felt invisible, as she once had. Inside the ballroom, the atmosphere was a study in curated excess. Women in shimmering gowns. Vera Wang. Oscar de la Renta glided past, their Tiffany jewelry catching the chandelier light like miniature stars. Men in bespoke suits sipped 12-year-old scotch, their conversations peppered with references to Wall Street deals and Sundance premieres. Maya felt the weight of their glances as she moved through the crowd, her emerald dress a silent rebellion against the unspoken dress code of extravagance. She wasn't naive. She knew appearances were currency here, a game of wealth and status she'd never cared to play. Still, the evaluative stares stung, reminding her of childhood taunts about her hand-me-down clothes. Great, she thought, a wry smile tugging at her lips. I'm one step from the kids' table at Thanksgiving. In a discreet corner, 2 women watched her, their 8-ounce champagne flutes poised like props in a carefully staged drama. Lillian Prescott, heiress to a real estate fortune, wore a gold gown that shimmered like molten metal, her 6-carat diamond earrings swaying as she leaned toward her companion. Nora Blake, a media mogul with a penchant for sharp-tongued gossip, matched Lillian's opulence in a sapphire dress, her $15,000 clutch resting on the table. Known for their influence in Manhattan's elite circles, They thrived on setting the social tone, their whispers as cutting as a winter wind. "She looks like she's headed to a coffee shop, not a gala," Lillian murmured, her voice sweet but laced with venom. Nora smirked, swirling her wine. "Honestly, who let her in?" "This isn't a community theater fundraiser." Maya caught their words as she reached for a flute from a passing waiter, her fingers tightening briefly on the glass. She wasn't surprised high society often mistook simplicity for insignificance, but the jab landed, stirring memories of being overlooked. She took a sip, the Napa Valley bubbles sharp on her tongue, and reminded herself why she was here: for the kids who deserved a chance, not for the approval of women who measured worth in carats. Unbeknownst to Lillian and Nora, their disdain had set a trap. They'd orchestrated Maya's reassignment to a secondary table, 50 feet from the main stage, a calculated move to assert their dominance. They didn't know Maya was no ordinary guest. She was a close friend of Keanu Reeves, the Gala's host, and her $10 million donation to the charity was about to change the night's narrative. Keanu Reeves, revered for his unassuming charm and fierce commitment to philanthropy, had personally invited Maya. They'd bonded years ago at a small fundraiser in Los Angeles, stacking chairs after midnight and laughing over their shared disdain for Hollywood's glitz. Tonight, Keanu was somewhere in the ballroom, likely dodging small talk to focus on the cause. Maya trusted he'd be as unaware of Lillian and Nora's scheming as she'd been, but she sensed the night held a revelation. As she moved toward her new table, Lillian's smug glance met her eyes. Maya offered a soft, knowing smile, her humor resurfacing. If status came with a receipt, she thought, they'd be returning theirs by morning. The gala was just beginning, and the truth, like the 15-foot chandeliers above, was about to cast a blinding light. Maya Carter wove through the Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom, her emerald green dress a quiet ripple against the sea of sequins and silk. The 15-foot crystal chandeliers cast a kaleidoscope of light across the room, illuminating 500 guests who sipped Napa Valley sparkling wine from 8-ounce flutes. The air hummed with calculated laughter and the clink of $10,000 Rolexes against crystal. But Maya felt the weight of judgmental stares. Each glance seemed to measure her worth, tallying the absence of diamonds or a designer label. She was no stranger to scrutiny. Her rise from Chicago's South Side to Hollywood's spotlight had taught her to navigate such rooms, but tonight, the stares cut deeper, stirring echoes of childhood insecurities. As she passed a table adorned with silent auction items, courtside Knicks tickets, a $5,000 Hamptons getaway, she overheard a voice, sharp and saccharine. "Does she think this is a casual Friday?" The words came from Lillian Prescott, her gold gown shimmering like a spotlight, her 6-carat Tiffany diamond earrings swaying with each disdainful tilt of her head. Beside her, Nora Blake, in a sapphire dress that screamed couture, smirked, her $15,000 clutch glinting under the chandelier glow. "I mean, really," Nora added, loud enough for Maya to hear, "this is a gala, not a community theater potluck." Their laughter sliced through the jazz ensemble's rendition of Take the A Train, and Maya's fingers tightened around her flute, the bubbles suddenly flat on her tongue. For a moment, she was 12 again, standing in a Chicago schoolyard, mocked for her hand-me-down sneakers, the ones her mother had patched with duct tape. The memory stung, a reminder of days when she'd felt invisible, her dreams of acting buried under the weight of poverty. She took a slow breath, grounding herself. "I'm here for the kids," she thought, picturing the 500 children who'd benefited from last year's $1 million fundraiser. Their faces lit up during art classes at community centers like the one that had saved her. She wasn't here to impress women who saw a simple dress as a social felony. Still, the whispers gnawed, and a flicker of self-doubt crept in. Did I misjudge this crowd? Maya's thoughts were interrupted by a waiter, his black tuxedo crisp as he leaned in discreetly. "Ms. Carter, your seating arrangement has been changed," he murmured, his eyes apologetic. She frowned, her heart sinking. Changed to where the waiter hesitated, glancing toward the far end of the ballroom, to a secondary table, 50 feet from the main stage. Maya followed his gaze, spotting a table tucked near a service door, far from the gilded center where tech moguls and Oscar winners held court. Across the room, Lillian's smug glance met her eyes, her lips curling in triumph. Nora raised her flute in a mock toast, her sapphire rings flashing. The sabotage was clear. They'd orchestrated this to diminish her, to assert their dominance in a world where table placement was a currency of power. Maya's stomach twisted, but she swallowed the urge to react. If status came with a receipt, she thought, a wry smile tugging at her lips, they'd be returning theirs by morning. She nodded to the waiter, her voice steady. "Thank you for letting me know." As she moved toward the secondary table, her heels clicking on the polished oak floor, she felt the room's eyes on her, some curious, others dismissive. The social hierarchy of the gala was ruthless, and she'd just been demoted in its unspoken ledger. But Maya wasn't defeated. She'd faced worse than petty social games auditions where directors scoffed at her rough background, red carpets where tabloids sneered at her thrift store finds. This was just another stage, and she knew how to play her part. At the secondary table, Maya set her flute down, her posture relaxed despite the slight burn in her chest. She scanned the room, noting the guests who avoided her gaze, their faces buried in $200 plates of filet mignon and 4-ounce lobster tails. Then, a new presence caught her attention, a young woman in a sleek black blazer, her notebook open as she scribbled furiously. Zoe Rivera, a rising journalist for a New York culture magazine, had been circling the gala, her sharp eyes missing nothing. Zoe's article on last year's event, which praised the charity's $1 million impact on 500 kids, had caught Maya's attention. Now, Zoe approached, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "Lillian's playing Queen Bee," Zoe whispered, leaning close as she pretended to adjust her recorder. "She pulled strings to move your seat. Watch your back." Maya raised an eyebrow, impressed by Zoe's perceptiveness. "Noted," she replied, her voice low. "But I'm not here to play their game." Zoe grinned, a spark of admiration in her eyes. "Good. You don't need to." As Zoe stepped away, she paused to measure the red carpet's length, 100 feet. She'd later write, adding a quirky detail to her article that would charm her readers. Maya watched her go, feeling a flicker of warmth. In a room of posturing, Zoe was a rare ally, her authenticity a reminder that not everyone bought into the gala's superficial script. Maya settled into her chair, the secondary table's distance from the main stage, a quiet exile. Lillian and Nora, now mingling with a hedge fund titan, cast occasional glances her way, their smirks barely concealed. Maya met their eyes once, offering a serene smile that made Nora's expression falter. "They think they're winning," Maya thought, her humor resurfacing. "But this game's not over." She knew Keanu Reeves, the gala's host, and her friend from a 2018 fundraiser, where they'd bonded over pizza and philanthropy, was somewhere in the room. He'd invited her personally, praising her commitment to the cause. Whatever Lillian and Nora were plotting, they didn't know the full script. As waiters cleared plates and the jazz ensemble shifted to Mood Indigo, Maya sipped her wine, her resolve hardening. The night was young, and the truth was waiting in the wings. The Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom pulsed with the rhythm of clinking crystal and murmured ambition, its 15-foot chandeliers casting prisms across tables, laden with $200 plates of filet mignon and 4-ounce lobster tails. Maya Carter sat at her secondary table, 50 feet from the main stage, her emerald green dress a quiet defiance amid the glitter of Tiffany jewelry and couture gowns. The Napa Valley sparkling wine in her 8-ounce flute had lost its fizz, but she sipped it anyway, her eyes scanning the room. The jazz ensemble's rendition of Mood Indigo wove through the air, but the melody couldn't drown out the whispers that had followed her all evening. Lillian Prescott and Nora Blake, their gold and sapphire ensembles gleaming like armor, were at the heart of it, their sharp tongues slicing through the gala's polished veneer. Maya tried to focus on the charity's mission, picturing the 500 kids who'd gained art classes and tutors from last year's $1 million fundraiser. She was here for them, not to play the social chess game that Lillian and Nora mastered. But as waiters glided past with silver trays, she caught a snippet of conversation that made her freeze. Lillian, leaning toward Nora at a prime table 20 feet away, spoke in a conspiratorial hush, her 6-carat diamond earrings glinting. "Keanu's got a surprise tonight," she said, her voice low but deliberate. "Bet Maya won't like it." Nora's sapphire rings flashed as she swirled her wine, a smirk curling her lips. "Oh, she'll be out of her depth, poor thing." Maya's heart raced, her fingers tightening on her flute. Keanu Reeves, the gala's host and her friend, involved in something against her. It didn't add up. Her mind flashed back to 2018, a small fundraiser in Los Angeles, where she and Keanu had bonded. The event, held in a 5,000-square-foot community center, had been modest, no red carpets, just folding chairs and $10 pizza boxes. They'd stayed late, stacking chairs and laughing over slices of pepperoni. "Forget the spotlight," Keanu had said, his eyes crinkling with sincerity. "Helping kids is the real win." Maya had nodded, sharing her own story of the Chicago Community Center that gave her a stage. That night, their shared disdain for Hollywood's glitz had forged a friendship, one she'd trusted ever since. Keanu had invited her to tonight's gala personally, his email praising her $10 million donation as the heart of the cause. So, why were Lillian and Nora so smug about his surprise? Maya's pulse quickened, but she kept her expression neutral, her years of acting honing her composure. She glanced at their table, catching Nora's sly look, as if testing her reaction. They're fishing for a crack, she thought, a wry humor surfacing. "Sorry, ladies, this script's not yours to write." Still, the ambiguity gnawed at her. Had Keanu been misled by Lillian's influence? The Prescott heiress had a knack for bending narratives, her real estate fortune buying her sway in Manhattan's elite circles. Or was Nora, the media mogul, spinning a story to tarnish Maya's presence? Nora's recent tabloid scandal, a $2 million lawsuit over her company's ethics, made her desperate to reclaim the spotlight. Their cunning was undeniable, a step beyond the petty gossip of the original socialites Maya had read about in old Gala stories. As the main course was cleared, Maya's attention shifted to Zoe Rivera, the young journalist who'd warned her about Lillian's seat-switching scheme. Zoe, in her sleek black blazer, was now across the room, her notebook open as she spoke to Nora. Nora leaned in, her sapphire dress catching the light, her voice smooth as she gestured toward a charity banner. "My foundation's planning a $500,000 youth program," Nora said, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Zoe nodded, scribbling, but her eyes flicked toward Maya, a hint of skepticism in her gaze. Maya felt a flicker of disappointment. Zoe had seemed like an ally, her article on last year's gala praising the charity's impact on 500 kids. Was she falling for Nora's charm? Even allies get charmed sometimes, Maya thought, brushing off the sting. Focus on the cause, not the drama. She took a sip of wine, her resolve hardening. The kids deserved her energy, not Lillian and Nora's mind games. She pictured the community center she'd funded, its 12,000 square foot space set to open in Atlanta, serving 600 children with theater programs and tech labs. That was her truth, not the whispers of women who measured worth in $15,000 clutches. Still, the mention of Keanu's surprise lingered, a shadow on her confidence. She scanned the ballroom for him, but Keanu was nowhere in sight, likely backstage, preparing for his speech. The main stage, framed by velvet curtains, loomed 50 feet away, a reminder of her exile to this secondary table. Lillian's sabotage had been meticulous, but Maya sensed it was just the opening act. Zoe broke away from Nora, weaving through the crowd toward Maya's table. She paused, pretending to check her recorder, and whispered, "Nora's fishing for a feature she thinks she's the story tonight." Maya's lips twitched into a half-smile. "Let her think that," she replied, her voice low. "The real story's coming." Zoe's eyes sparkled with understanding, and she nodded before slipping back into the crowd, her notebook now measuring the stage's width 30 feet for her article's quirky flair. Maya's disappointment faded. Zoe wasn't swayed, just playing the journalist's game to get the scoop. As the jazz ensemble transitioned to Satin Doll, Lillian and Nora rose, their gowns shimmering as they mingled with a Wall Street titan. Their glances darted toward Maya, testing her resolve. She met their eyes, her serene smile unshaken. But inside, her mind raced. What was Keanu's surprise? And why did they think it would undo her? The suspense coiled tighter, but Maya leaned back in her chair, her humor a quiet shield. If they think they've got Keanu in their pocket, she thought, they're about to learn he doesn't play their game. The gala's next act was near, and the truth, like the 15-foot chandeliers above, was ready to shine. The Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom shimmered under 15-foot crystal chandeliers, the air thick with anticipation as the jazz ensemble faded to a hush. Maya Carter sat at her secondary table, 50 feet from the main stage, her emerald green dress a quiet beacon amid the $10,000 gowns and Tiffany diamonds. The 500 guests, their 8-ounce Napa Valley wine flutes nearly empty, turned their attention to the velvet curtained stage. Lillian Prescott and Nora Blake, their gold and sapphire ensembles gleaming, whispered excitedly at their prime table, their 6-carat earrings and $15,000 clutch betraying their confidence in a plan Maya still couldn't unravel. The murmurs of Keanu Reeves' surprise lingered in her mind, but she steadied herself, her focus on the charity's mission. 500 kids served by last year's $1 million fundraiser. A host in a crisp tuxedo stepped to the microphone, his voice cutting through the ballroom's hum. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man who made this evening possible, Keanu Reeves." The room erupted in applause, a wave of admiration for the host, known for his unassuming charm. Keanu strolled on stage, his black blazer and open-collared shirt a stark contrast to the room's opulence. His easy smile calmed the crowd as he took the microphone, waiting for silence. Maya leaned forward, her heart a steady drumbeat. Whatever's coming, she thought. Keanu's not their pawn. "Thank you all for being here," Keanu began, his voice warm. "This charity, supporting underprivileged youth, is close to my heart. You've helped raise millions for kids who need it most." The crowd clapped, but Keanu's gaze shifted, purposeful. "Tonight, I want to honor someone extraordinary, someone who's given more than most will ever know." Maya's breath caught, her fingers grazing her flute. Lillian and Nora leaned closer, their smirks faltering. 4 years ago, Keanu continued, at a small fundraiser in Los Angeles, This person told me she'd give kids the chances she got growing up. Tonight, I'm proud to announce a $10 million initiative for 20 new community centers across the U.S., fully funded by one anonymous donor. The room buzzed, but Keanu's next words silenced it. That donor is Maya Carter. A collective gasp rippled through the ballroom. Maya's heart surged, not with pride but with quiet vindication. Lillian's face froze, her wine flute trembling. Nora's sapphire rings glinted as her hand clenched. They'd spent the night claiming credit for similar youth programs. Their $500,000 pledges splashed across Gala brochures. Now, their deception unraveled under the 15-foot chandeliers. Keanu smiled at Maya. She's here because she believes in second chances, just like the ones she got in Chicago. The crowd turned, eyes locking on Maya's secondary table. Zoe Rivera, the young journalist, scribbled furiously, her notebook capturing every second. Keanu extended a hand. Maya, would you join me for a moment? Maya hesitated, the weight of 500 stares pressing down. Then she saw Lillian's stunned expression, Nora's forced smile cracking. Time to rewrite their script, she thought, a wry humor flickering. She stood, her emerald dress catching the light, and walked the 50 feet to the stage, each step a quiet victory. The crowd's applause grew, a tide shifting in her favor. On stage, Keanu handed her the microphone, his nod a silent, "You've got this." Maya scanned the ballroom, her Chicago roots grounding her. "Thank you." "Keanu," she began, her voice steady. "Growing up on Chicago's South Side, I learned early that real strength isn't in diamonds or who you know, it's in lifting others when no one's watching." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. This $10 million isn't for applause, it's for kids who need art, tech, a chance to dream. Some chase status, she added, her eyes flicking to Lillian and Nora's table. But kids need your heart, not your spotlight. The words landed like a velvet hammer. A tech mogul in a $5,000 tuxedo stood, pledging $3 million on the spot, and the crowd erupted. Chants of Maya echoing off the 30-foot ceiling. X-posts later trended with "Mong lift others." Zoe's fingers already typing the hashtag. Maya handed the microphone back to Keanu, her smile serene but sharp. As she stepped off the stage, she paused by Lillian and Nora's table, the crowd still clapping. Leaning in, she said softly, "Hope you enjoyed dinner." Lillian's wine flute nearly slipped. Nora's eyes darted away, her smirk gone. Maya continued to her table, her poise unshaken, the ballroom's energy now orbiting her. Later, as dessert, $20 chocolate tarts was served. Maya approached Lillian's table, pulling out a chair. The room hushed, sensing the moment. "You thought a dress defines me," she said, her voice calm but piercing. "Look around who's invisible now," Lillian stammered. "You're misunderstanding, Maya." But her voice faltered under Maya's steady gaze. Nora stared at her $15,000 clutch. Silent, her earlier cunning dissolved. "You spent the night trying to erase me," Maya continued. "But if you'd treated me as a guest, you'd still have your pride." She leaned back, a hint of humor in her eyes. "Good luck with the headlines." Zoe, nearby, scribbled notes. Her article already taking shape, Maya Carter's Truth Shakes Gala Elite. Maya stood, leaving Lillian and Nora in stunned silence. The crowd's applause lingered, but Maya's focus was elsewhere on the kids who'd soon walk into 20 new community centers, their 12,000 square foot spaces alive with possibility. Keanu caught her eye from across the room, raising his flute in a quiet toast. Maya nodded, her humor resurfacing. "They thought they'd write my story," she thought, "but I've been holding the pen all along." The Gala's opulence faded behind her resolve, the truth brighter than any chandelier. As the Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom began to empty, the 15-foot crystal chandeliers dimmed, casting a soft glow over the remnants of a night transformed. Maya Carter stood near her secondary table, her emerald green dress still a quiet defiance against the $10,000 gowns now departing. The 500 guests, their 8-ounce Napa Valley wine flutes abandoned, swarmed her with belated praise. Maya, your speech was inspiring, gushed a tech mogul who'd ignored her earlier. A socialite in a $5,000 Oscar de la Renta gown offered a practiced smile. We must collaborate on a project. Maya responded with polite nods, her warmth genuine, but her eyes sharp. She wasn't naive. Their shift was superficial, a scramble to align with the night's new star. They think a speech changed me, she thought, a wry humor flickering, but I've always known who I am. Lillian Prescott and Nora Blake remained at their prime table, their gold and sapphire ensembles dulled by defeat. Lillian's 6-carat Tiffany earrings no longer swayed with confidence. Nora's $15,000 clutch sat untouched, her earlier smirk replaced by a tight-lipped frown. Their whispers, once venomous, had crumbled under the weight of Maya's $10 million revelation, their claims to similar youth programs exposed as hollow. Maya caught their glances, Lillian's forced composure, Nora's averted eyes, and felt no need to gloat. Their downfall was their own making, a lesson in the futility of status over substance. Maya slipped through the crowd, the jazz ensemble's final notes fading, and stepped outside the plaza. The May night air, a refreshing 60 degrees, brushed her skin as she inhaled deeply. The city's hum, a grounding contrast to the ballroom's artifice. Keanu Reeves joined her, his black blazer unbuttoned, carrying 2 8-ounce champagne flutes. He handed her one, his easy smile a reminder of their 2018 fundraiser bond, over pizza and philanthropy. They clinked glasses, the crystal chiming softly. Well, you stole the show, Keanu said, chuckling. Maya laughed, her first unguarded moment all night. They thought they'd write my story. But I've been holding the pen. Keanu leaned against a limestone pillar, the plaza's marquee glowing behind him. You know what's funny? They're still chasing status, like it'll mean something when the lights go out. Maya nodded, sipping her champagne. I saw it in their eyes, panic when your speech flipped their game. That's why we're friends. You don't play it, Keanu grinned. Never have. Never will. Guess that's why we've always clicked. Their laughter echoed, a shared defiance of the Gala's superficial script. Maya glanced at the 100-foot red carpet, now empty. They'll forget the drama, she said, but I hope they remember the kids. Keanu raised his flute. They will because of you. 3 months later, Maya stood in Atlanta, the sun warming a new 12,000-square-foot community center, the first of 20, funded by her $10 million donation. The facility, serving 600 kids with theater stages, tech labs, and basketball courts, buzzed with laughter as children explored its halls. Maya walked through, her sneakers silent on the polished floors, her heart full. A mural, painted by local teens, depicted a Chicago skyline, her homage to the center that shaped her. This is worth more than any chandelier, she thought, recalling the plaza's glitz. A young girl, clutching a script for her first play, hugged Maya. Thank you for this place, she said. Maya knelt, smiling. You're why it's here, Zoe Rivera's article. Maya Carter's Gala, Truth Shakes High Society, had gone viral, amassing 2 million views. It detailed Maya's triumph, her haw lift others' speech trending for weeks. Zoe dubbed Lillian Diamond Flop, a nickname that stuck as Lillian's Gala invitations dried up, her real estate empire no longer enough to buy social clout. Nora's charity event, hyped as a $500,000 fundraiser, flopped with only 50 attendees, her tabloid scandal resurfacing on X. Maya read Zoe's piece on her phone, chuckling at the diamond flop jab. Good luck with the headlines. She'd told them, and the universe had delivered. The night's lessons lingered, each a thread in Maya's resolve. First, authenticity outshines artifice. Her emerald dress, mocked by Lillian, had become a symbol of integrity, proving that true worth lies in actions, not appearances. Second, resilience turns adversity into opportunity. Lillian and Nora's sabotage had only amplified Maya's impact, her $10 million gift reaching millions through Zoe's article. Third, community matters more than status. The Atlanta Center, serving 600 kids, was a legacy no diamond could rival. Finally, allies like Keanu and Zoe, who valued purpose over posturing, were the real wealth in a world obsessed with wealth. Maya's reflection crystallized as she left the center, the Atlanta skyline glowing under a 75-degree Marv dusk. It's not what you wear or who you know, she thought. It's who you are when the spotlight's off. That truth, born in a Chicago community center and proven under the plaza's chandeliers, was her North Star. She hoped it would inspire others to give, to persevere, to stay true. To you, our audience, thank you for joining Maya's journey. Your support fuels stories of hope, resilience, and truth, reminding us that every voice matters. If this tale moved you, hit that subscribe button on our channel. We've got more stories coming, from underdog triumphs to acts of compassion that light up the world. Share where you're watching from in the comments, and let's keep lifting others together. Next week, we'll dive into another saga of heart and hustle. Don't miss it. Maya's story proves that one person's truth can change everything, and with you, we'll keep telling those stories.